Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome John Blake. This one. Great.
How are we going? That's good. That's good. Okay, so it's when you're asked to speak for 5 minutes, it's interesting trying to put together what it is that you're going to talk about. So I actually am going to try and fit it into 5 minutes. I have a question. When you think about the sales process, if you consider that it has a beginning and an end, where do most people think that the closing part takes place? At the beginning or at the end? In the middle? Who thinks the beginning? Okay. Who thinks the end? Okay, interesting. Because the question was asked before, who likes to be closed? Who does not like to be closed? Okay, great. When you think of closing, what do you think? What comes to mind? Pardon? Pushy. Yeah, what else? Prison? Prison, right? Yeah. So having some sort of a gate locked in around you. Is that what you meant? Yeah. Yeah, got it. Awesome. What else comes to mind? Pardon? The shop's closed. Got it. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you is probably the biggest myth when it comes to closing. And really, more importantly, exactly where and why a choice to make a purchase takes place. And so probably the best way for me to do that is to really just relate to you a story. I was asked to mystery shop a client who has a dog obedience franchise. And so I rang up this particular lady who does all of the sales for this particular part of Perth. And my understanding was that she was doing around about 9 or 10% conversion. And so I rang up and I actually previously had a very, very disobedient Jack Russell. So I had a first hand understanding of what that was like, and it's a story for another time, but we actually ended up having to get that dog put down. So I had a first hand understanding of what it was like to have a disobedient dog. And so I rang up and she asked me one or two questions, very, very sort of cursory questions, but they weren't really, as Annette was saying, questions that indicated active listening. They were more so questions that she perhaps felt that she should ask, but really were just questions that were her waiting for her chance to talk. And so, for probably 20 or 30 seconds, there was some questions about some discovery questions, some questions about what was happening, and then she launched into this elaborate description of the particular process. And what was interesting is that she sounded lovely on the phone. She was amazing at explaining it. So she did the most fantastic job of explaining to me about the process, about the training, about the support, what different packages that there were, and she, just did a fantastic job. But at the end of the conversation, I could see exactly why she was only converting between 9 and 10% of the paid leads that were making their way to her to actually speak to. Why do you think that was? Pardon? Too much information. It was said before, like what do people care about their particular about your particular product or service? What level of care do people have around your particular product or service? High or low? Low, right? So in the 5 minutes that I've got, the thing that I wanted to really share with you, the thing that I really wanted to help you to understand is a couple of things. When we say, when someone says that they closed a sale, what really happened? Well, what really happens is that a sale takes place, and this is important, right? So if you're going to write anything down, this is the bit to write down. A sale takes place in the mind of the person that you are talking to when the cost of doing nothing becomes greater than the investment in your particular product or service. Okay, so I'll say that again. A sale takes place first in the mind of the person that you're talking to when the cost of doing nothing becomes greater than the cost of investing in your particular product or service. So instead of really trying to create a situation where you're convincing somebody, one of the best things you can do is to create an environment where they can convince themselves or not convince themselves as to whether investing with you or your particular product or service is a good idea or not. How am I going for time?
60 seconds.
So that really is the message. So look, in terms of what I do, as it was said before, on my website there are a number of 3 things, not just one. You can find me if you do a search for John Blake Sales. I'll come up on the first page. There's all sorts of different resources there. But my idea wasn't really necessarily to tell you about my website. It was really just to get that one point across, is that in your conversations, what you are looking to do is create an environment where the person can work out whether the cost of doing nothing is greater or not than the cost of investing in your particular product or service. So if you can create an environment of discovery where the person that you're talking to can work that out, or create a system and a sequence of questions that you can ask that creates an environment where that particular person can make that decision for themselves, you will be amazed at how fast your sales and your sales revenue will grow. So thank you for listening.